The weakness they feared. The Vexari Collective had conquered 3 galaxies before they encountered humanity. Their civilization, built on perfect logic and emotional suppression, had survived for 30,000 years. Their sleek crystalline ships moved through space like silent predators, their technology so advanced it bordered on magical. The Vexari themselves were tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their surroundings, an evolutionary advantage from their predatory past. High Commander Zextal stood on the observation deck of the Vexari flagship Immutable Truth, watching the small blue planet through narrowed vertical pupils. Earth was unremarkable in almost every way. Average size, average star, average resources. What wasn't average were its inhabitants. Status report on the human delegation, Zextal demanded, not turning from the viewport. Science Officer Nexvir approached, her skin shifting to a formal pattern of blues and greens. The humans have arrived at the neutral station. Their representatives include their highest diplomatic corps and 1 military commander. Military. Interesting choice. Zextal's skin rippled with subtle patterns that conveyed curiosity mixed with caution. They know we outmatch them technologically by at least 600 years. What possible purpose could a military presence serve? Unknown, High Commander. Perhaps it is ceremonial. Humans incorporate many inefficient rituals into their governance. Zextal turned from the viewport, his height imposing as he towered over his science officer. They are young, barely 1,000 years of recorded civilization, and yet they've expanded to 3 systems already. Their adaptability is concerning, Nexvir admitted. They evolve socially faster than any species we've encountered. Their technological growth curve is unprecedented, which is precisely why we're here, Zextal said. Better to establish dominance now than face them as equals in a century. The diplomatic chamber aboard Neutral Station Epsilon was designed to intimidate. The Vexari delegation sat elevated on crystalline chairs, looking down at the humans across a transparent table that displayed constantly shifting star maps of Vexari-controlled space, a subtle reminder of their vast empire. Ambassador Elliot Chen of Earth showed no sign of being impressed. The elderly statesman had negotiated first contact protocols with 6 other species. Beside him sat Commander Elena Reyes, her military uniform adorned with the minimal decorations that denoted her elite status. Her dark eyes missed nothing, cataloging every subtle skin shift among the Vexari. We appreciate this opportunity for dialogue, Chen began. Earth and her colonies seek nothing but peaceful coexistence. Zextal's translator converted the human speech perfectly. The Vexari Collective acknowledges your peaceful intentions. However, we have concerns about humanity's rate of expansion. It appears unchecked. We grow as necessity demands, Chen replied smoothly. Our population requires space. Your reproduction rates are inefficient, Nexvir interjected. A species should calibrate birth rates to available resources. Elena Reyes remained silent, but her hand tightened imperceptibly on her armrest. We have a different philosophy, Chen explained. We believe in potential rather than limitation. Each human brings unique contributions. The negotiations continued for hours, discussing trade restrictions, territorial boundaries, and technological exchange limitations. The Vexari offered minimal concessions while demanding significant restrictions on human expansion. Chen remained diplomatic, but the strain showed in the lines of his face. During a break in negotiations, Chen received a message on his personal device. The elderly ambassador read it, and something extraordinary happened. His eyes welled with tears. The Vexari delegation froze, their skins simultaneously flashing warning patterns of red and black. Security officers moved forward, weapons humming to life. Ambassador Chen. Elena spoke quickly, placing a protective hand on his arm. What's wrong? Chen smiled through his tears. Nothing's wrong, Commander. My daughter just had her baby. I'm a grandfather again. He showed her the image on his device. A tiny, wrinkled human infant. The Vexari delegation withdrew to their ship immediately, citing unforeseen complications. Elena watched them go, understanding immediately that something about Chen's emotional display had triggered their retreat. Back aboard the Immutable Truth, Zextal convened an emergency council. The human displayed the water-leaking behavior. He explained to the assembled commanders. Our xenobiologists have observed this in captured specimens, but never in a diplomatic setting. It is a sign of extreme duress, Nexver added. Humans secrete saline fluid from specialized glands when experiencing system failure or emotional collapse. Strategic Commander Lex Maul's skin darkened with concern. Was it an attack? Some biological weapon? Unknown, Zextal admitted. But the timing is suspicious. The human claimed it was related to reproduction news, but it occurred precisely when we were establishing dominance in negotiations. We should analyze their communications, Nexver suggested. The message that triggered this response might contain coded information. When the Vexari techs intercepted and decoded Chen's message, they found only an image and a simple text. It's a boy. 7.2 pounds, healthy and strong. Mom is doing great. He has your eyes, Dad. The Vexari Council stared at the image of the infant human with growing unease. This caused the emotional reaction. Lex Maul asked incredulously. A reproduction notification. Humans form intense bonds with their offspring, Nexver explained. Our studies suggest they would sacrifice individual survival for their young. It's evolutionary inefficient, but appears central to their psychology. Zextal studied the image longer than the others. There's something we're missing. The timing was too perfect. I want all available data on human emotional responses analyzed immediately. Meanwhile, on the station, Elena Rice was having a frank conversation with Ambassador Chen. You scared them, she said, unable to keep a slight smile from her face. Chen dabbed at his eyes. Apparently so. Though I certainly didn't intend to. It's perfect, Elena replied. They don't understand us at all. That gives us an advantage. Commander, my job is to prevent conflict, not exploit misunderstandings. Elena's expression hardened. With respect, Ambassador, my job is to make sure that if conflict comes, we win. The Vexari have conquered every species they've encountered. Every single one. They don't do peaceful coexistence. You don't know that, Chen argued. I've studied their history as much as our intelligence allows. They're methodical. They're here because they've identified us as a potential future threat, and they're deciding whether to contain us or eliminate us. Chen sighed. Then we need to convince them we're not a threat. No, Elena said firmly. We need to convince them we're a threat they can't afford to engage. And your tears just gave me an idea how. The Vexari returned to negotiations the next day with a larger security detail. Zextal's skin displayed formal patterns, but with undertones of alertness that Elena recognized from her briefings. Before we continue, Zextal began, we request clarification about yesterday's incident. Chen looked confused. Incident? Your biological response. The fluid secretion. Chen chuckled, further confusing the Vexari. You mean my tears? I was simply moved by personal news. Our records indicate that human tears are associated with pain, distress, or system failure, Nexver stated. Yet you claim they were triggered by positive information. Humans cry for many reasons, Elena interjected. Happiness, sadness, anger, beauty, loss, love. Our emotions find physical expression. The Vexari delegates' skins rippled with patterns indicating confusion and concern. Inefficient, Nexver finally stated. Emotional responses should be controlled, not displayed. This suggests dangerous instability. On the contrary, Chen replied, our emotional responses are central to our diplomacy, our innovation, and our survival as a species. Throughout the day, the Vexari pressed for details about human emotional responses, almost abandoning the original negotiations entirely. Alina noted their growing agitation with satisfaction. That night, the Vexari Council reviewed disturbing new intelligence. "We've analyzed their entertainment broadcasts," Nexver reported, her skin pale with concern. "Humans intentionally expose themselves to simulated scenarios designed to trigger emotional responses. They call it art." "A training program?" asked Lexmal. "Possibly. They deliberately subject themselves to emotional extremes. Their young are trained from birth using narratives that stimulate emotional development." Zextal studied the reports with growing alarm. "Are you suggesting that humans are deliberately evolving enhanced emotional capabilities?" "The evidence suggests they value emotional intelligence as highly as analytical intelligence," Nexver confirmed. "It appears central to their decision-making." "That's primitive," Lexmal said, but his skin betrayed uncertainty. "Is it?" Zextal asked softly. "Or is it something we've forgotten?" The next day, negotiations took an unexpected turn. The Vexari presented their final terms: harsh restrictions on human expansion and technology development. Ambassador Chen listened calmly, then stood up. "The terms are unacceptable," he said simply. "Humanity will not be contained." "This is not a negotiation," Zextal replied. "These are the conditions for peace." Chen smiled sadly. "Then there will not be peace." Alina watched as the elderly ambassador walked out, leaving the Vexari delegation in stunned silence. She rose to follow him, but paused at the doorway. "You think our emotions make us weak," she said. "You will learn they make us dangerous." As she turned to leave, a single tear slid down her cheek, one she had carefully cultivated for this moment. The effect was immediate. The Vexari security team raised their weapons, their skins flashing alarm patterns. Alina smiled through her tear. That wasn't sadness, by the way. That was anticipation. The strength they never imagined. 3 days after the failed negotiations, the Vexari Collective positioned their fleet at strategic points throughout the Sol system. Their ships, elegant and deadly, maintained a non-aggressive stance, while clearly demonstrating their overwhelming firepower. It was a classic Vexari intimidation tactic that had worked on countless species before. Aboard the Immutable Truth, Zextal received troubling reports. "The humans are not responding as expected," Strategic Commander Lexmal reported, his skin shifting in patterns of confusion. "There are no signs of panic. No emergency government sessions. Their media continues normal broadcasts. Their ships maintain regular trade routes." "They must understand the implied threat," Zextal insisted. "Our fleet could reduce their homeworld to ash." "Perhaps they don't believe we would take such action," Nexver suggested. "Or perhaps," came a new voice, "they don't fear it the way you expect them to." The Vexari turned to find a human standing in their command center, Commander Alina Reyes. Around her, Vexari security officers lay unconscious, taken down without triggering a single alarm. "Impossible," Nexver whispered, her skin pale with shock. Alina shrugged. "You rely too heavily on your technology. It makes you predictable." Zextal recovered quickly, his skin shifting to aggressive patterns. "You've committed an act of war, human." "No," Alina corrected, taking a seat uninvited at the Vexari command table. "I've prevented one. Your security officers are unarmed. I'm here to talk." "You have nothing to offer that would interest us," Zextal said coldly. "How about survival?" Alina countered. "Both yours and ours." For the first time in his long life, Zextal felt uncertainty creep into his perfect logical processes. This human had penetrated the most advanced security system in 3 galaxies, alone, seemingly without weapons. "Speak," he finally commanded. Alina leaned forward. "You've been studying us, so let me save you some time." "Yes, we cry. We laugh. We rage and love and grieve. Our emotions run deep, and they influence every decision we make. You see this as weakness because you've evolved to suppress your own emotions." "Emotional suppression brought us stability and progress," Nexver countered. Your way leads to chaos. Does it? Elena asked. Then explain how a chaotic species like ours advanced from stone tools to interstellar travel in less than 10,000 years, while your stable civilization took 30,000 years to achieve the same. The Vexeri had no immediate answer. Elena continued, You think we're dangerous because we're expanding too quickly. You're right, but not for the reasons you believe. We're dangerous because we connect with each other, with other species, even with artificial intelligences. Those connections, those emotions you dismiss, drive us to innovate in ways your logical processes can't predict. Emotional decision-making is inefficient and error-prone, Lexmal argued. Sometimes, Elena agreed, but it also leads to inspiration, intuition, and revolutionary thinking. When was the last time the Vexeri had a scientific breakthrough that wasn't an incremental improvement on existing technology? The silence in the room was answer enough. What do you want, human? Zextal finally asked. A genuine alliance, not the subjugation you were planning. We have something you've lost, and you have knowledge we could benefit from. Before Zextal could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Displays lit up showing a massive gravitational anomaly forming near Jupiter. What is this? Zextal demanded. A human attack. Elena's face showed genuine shock. No, this isn't us. She activated her communication device. Rise to Earth command. What the hell is happening near Jupiter? The response came through clearly for all to hear. Commander, we're detecting a Class 9 spatial rupture. It's not one of ours. Repeat, unknown technology creating wormhole near Jupiter. Multiple objects emerging. Through the viewport, they watched as space itself tore open in a swirling vortex of energy. Dark, angular ships emerged. Dozens, then hundreds. The Krell. Nextver whispered, her skin going death white. They found us. You know these aliens? Elena asked sharply. Zextal nodded grimly. The only species we ever failed to conquer. We've been avoiding them for 8,000 years. The communication system crackled with a harsh, guttural language that made the Vexeri physically recoil. They're demanding our surrender, Lexmal translated. All Vexari to be processed. All other life forms to be harvested. Harvested, Elena repeated. The Krell consume sentient species, Nextver explained, her voice hollow. They believe absorbing other intelligences enhances their own. They are efficient. Elena's expression hardened. How many ships do they have? Their fleet appears to number approximately 300 vessels, Lexmal reported. And how many do you have in this system? 22 capital ships, 46 support vessels. Elena nodded and activated her communicator again. Earth Command. This is Reyes. We have a code black situation. Implement protocol Thermopylae immediately. Confirmed, Commander. May God help us all. Elena turned to the confused Vexari. You wanted to understand humanity. You're about to get a demonstration. Within minutes, every human ship in the system was moving to intercept the Krell fleet. Military vessels, cargo haulers, mining ships, even passenger liners, all converging in a seemingly suicidal charge. What are they doing? Nextver asked, bewildered. Their ships have minimal weaponry. This is illogical. This is humanity, Elena replied simply. The human ships formed a defensive line between the Krell and the inner planets. Elena continued issuing orders, directing civilian vessels to evacuation points, while military ships engaged in hit-and-run attacks against the vastly superior enemy. They have no chance of victory, Zextal observed. Yet they fight. We're not fighting to win, Elena explained. We're fighting to survive. There's a difference. She turned to face the Vexeri commander. Now you have a choice. Run and hide for another 8,000 years, or stand with us. For a long moment, Zextal was silent, his skin cycling through complex patterns as he processed this impossible situation. Then, to the shock of his officers, he began issuing orders. All ships to battle stations. Deploy alongside the human vessels. Share targeting data and shield frequencies. The Vexari fleet moved into position, their advanced weapons systems suddenly finding purpose alongside the determined but outmatched human forces. Why? Nextweir asked her commander privately. This defies optimal strategy. Zextal watched as a small human transport, clearly damaged, positioned itself between a Krell destroyer and a civilian evacuation ship, buying time with the lives of its crew. Because I'm beginning to understand what makes them dangerous, he replied. And it's not a weakness at all. The battle was brutal and swift. Human and Vexari ships fought side by side, the humans displaying tactics that bordered on insanity. Ramming maneuvers, using their own disabled ships as projectiles, captains staying aboard doomed vessels to ensure maximum damage to the enemy. On the command deck, Alina coordinated with Earth while simultaneously helping the Vexari integrate their defensive systems. Third quadrant is failing, Lexmal reported. The Krell have broken through. Alina's expression showed fear, but not panic. Redirect the mining fleet. Tell them to deploy their fusion charges. Minutes later, they watched as 20 mining vessels, each piloted by a volunteer crew, detonated their fusion cores directly inside the Krell formation, creating a chain reaction that destroyed 30 enemy ships at the cost of every human life aboard the miners. Nextweir's skin had gone ashen. They sacrificed themselves, willingly. For the others, Alina said quietly, "That's what you don't understand about us. We connect. We feel. And because of that, we're willing to die so others might live." The battle raged for hours. Human casualties mounted, but for every human ship lost, a Krell vessel was destroyed. The Vexari fought with precision and power, their advanced technology becoming truly formidable when employed with the desperate creativity of human tactics. When it was over, the remnants of the Krell fleet retreated through their wormhole. The Sol system was littered with debris and the wreckage of ships from all three species. Earth had lost nearly 40% of its space-capable vessels. The Vexari had lost 8 capital ships. In the aftermath, as rescue operations began, Zextal found Alina in the medical bay, helping tend to wounded Vexari despite her own injuries. "I don't understand," he admitted. "Your species sacrificed so much. Some of your people killed themselves to save others they didn't even know." Alina looked up from bandaging a Vexari officer's wound. "That's the power of empathy, Commander. We feel each other's pain. We share each other's hopes. It binds us together in ways logic never could. And it makes you stronger," Zextal realized. "Not weaker. It makes us human," Alina corrected. "And now maybe it makes us allies." As she spoke, a tear slid down her cheek, not from manipulation this time, but from genuine emotion. Zextal watched it fall, and for the first time, he didn't see it as a sign of weakness or a tactical display. He saw it as something his species had lost long ago. "The water from your eyes," he said hesitantly. "What does it mean now?" Alina smiled through her tears. "Relief, grief, hope. Sometimes tears contain all our emotions at once." To her shock, Zextal's skin suddenly shifted to a pattern she'd never seen before, swirls of deep blue and gold that seemed to flow like water. And from his eyes came a single glistening drop of liquid. "I believe," he said softly, touching the moisture with wonder, "we may have more in common than I realized." The tear wasn't just water. It was the beginning of understanding. The first step toward reclaiming something the Vexari had sacrificed in their pursuit of perfect logic. And as human and Vexari medical teams worked together to save lives from both species, the stars bore witness to something neither civilization had anticipated. Not conquest, not submission, but connection. Human tears had not been the end, as the Vexari had feared. They had been the beginning.